start working this intro's better. I got nothing. Like this one is just like bum 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 bum. Just try to like mimic the music. It's the best I got. Welcome to After the Hype.
Courtesy of Daft Punk.
Your host is always
Do you
Brian
like Gem in the holograms and bright pink earrings? Well, this is not that.
Well, that is still there.
Yeah.
Welcome to After the Hype. News host always Brian Johnson. As always is Jonathan Hardesty.
Truly outrageous.
And Chewie Darcy.
Hi.
This week we are continuing our horror movie month with a significantly better movie than last week, but I still had a lot of fun last week just bitching about 30 Days of Night. So if you missed last week, please go back and check out our episode.
It's a fun one to bitch about.
It is such a fun movie.
It'll let you know to never watch that movie if you've never seen it.
And it's nice to have a punt before you get to the heavy hitter we've got today.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
These two movies did not go well together.
It would be
at all.
Worst double feature
pairing.
ever.
Our days of having oddly good double features has ended spectacularly. And here we are talking about Revenge.
The 2017 movie, French.
The 2017 French horror film.
You need to specify it because there's more than one movie called
That's
Revenge
true.
out there.
We are talking about the 2017 French horror film in the rape revenge genre. Not a movie that you would have ever expected us to cover here, especially as I've mentioned that I pretty much avoid any and all movies with rape in it because I don't think rape is entertaining, and in entertainment it feels kind of counterproductive.
Yep.
We'll get into why somehow this movie made it not okay, but not worthy of turning off a movie, and actually ended up being a very, very good movie after we do a Where Have You Been Doing? And there's the face. Mentioned it last week. Happened again. Oh, man, this is great.
We need a camera feed on that face. It's the Where Have You Been Doing face.
As we're setting up, she was like, why are you sending that camera? What did I forget? And Where Have You Been Doing? Fuck! So Chewie will go last. I'll go first. I started season 2 of Titans. Titans are back, bitches. The season 2 opener is a rough episode. I don't blame the show. I blame kind of the fans and the reaction a little bit. Clearly, a lot of people were not digging the very, very dark R-rated tone that Titans went with for the first season. Although I think it worked because they used violence as a story, not as a just product in the show. It was actually motivated by the choices and ramifications of other choices, and it made sense, and I thought it worked. However, it doesn't really feel very Titan-y. So I can see why they decided to switch it out and bring in some more Titans-like character like Aqualad and Superboy and all of these other people. And you just really have to get through that first episode where they just wrap up all of season 1 in about 45 minutes and then spend about 15 minutes being the actual season 2 first episode and set up Titans Tower and who the Titans are and that sort of stuff in a real short time frame.
Oh, wow. Does that actually work? Like, does that feel weird?
Oh yeah, it does.
Okay.
It does not really work as an episode. But the parts that there's enough entertaining. It's just as a singular piece of entertainment, it fails. But it's still it's good for fans. Like, okay, I can get all the things I need out of it, but it just kind of feels like a recap of a show that didn't happen.
Okay.
It's the best way to describe it. It's like, oh, do you remember all this stuff from season 1? No, because it didn't happen. Yeah, we're just gonna jam it all in the back end of this.
Oh,
it's like they deal with the Trigon character, and if you don't know who Trigon is, he's Raven's dad. He's a demon. He's horrible, horrifying, and they deal with all of him in about 10 minutes.
but he's so lovable in Teen Titans Go.
So
he is.
Hello, daughter.
I was so disappointed because it was played by one of the guys from Castle.
Yeah.
And
I
love him in Castle, and he was great as a villain.
He was.
But he, doesn't really get to shine too very long.
No, they definitely are going more towards the let's just be Titans. Let's just, and they actually I'll get through this as fast as I can. They deal with it in a very interesting way where they play with the idea that Titans have always been a thing and they just weren't during the first season, because a lot of the characters and side characters they meet up with, Dick has worked with in the past in various forms, and then season 2 just goes, those various forms were the same form, it was Titans, and Titans went away and now Titans are coming back. And I'm like, okay, that kind of works.
Okay.
As long as you don't really pull on that thread, it doesn't fall apart. And it's like, okay, I like it. It worked.
Okay.
It's a good way to get around the super negative, dark vibes of the first season, and just kind of that was just kind of a weird outlier of this is where they were and this is where they're going.
Which do you prefer in the case of this show, though?
I've only seen the first episode, so I don't know
Okay.
how the lighter will feel.
Okay.
But I like Superboy.
I would like to revisit
I like
that question
Aqualad.
later.
Yeah, I mean, I like all the characters I'm bringing in, so I'm assuming I'll like it more. And Beast Boy can now turn into more than just a tiger, so that's good.
We got more of a budget for that.
Yeah, in the first episode, he turns into a snake, so it's kind of nice. So I'm excited to see where they go with it. But I don't want to talk about Titans all day, every day, especially because I only watch one episode. So, John, what about you?
Well, unfortunately, we're not leaving the DC universe for my Where Have You Been Doing.
I'm fine with that.
Yeah, so I've started to replay Batman Arkham Asylum thanks to the Epic stores just giving away games at this point.
Yeah.
Like good games.
Got 8 games from them.
Yeah. And this is not the Xbox, we're just going to give you the crap that we couldn't sell thing that they do every month. This is like, yeah, all 3 of the Arkham games that were done by Rocksteady, free. All the Batman Lego games, free. And so my gaming, future is pretty much set for a while because I started playing Arkham Asylum and just it's such a fun world to be in, and the gameplay in that is so awesome. Mm-hmm. The story is cool. The way they ease in the rogues gallery throughout, it's just the perfect blend of it. They knocked it out of the park in the beginning, which is a very interesting thing for a game to do. Usually you iterate and get way better. And I liked Arkham Knight quite a lot. Yeah. It just felt long, and City is okay. It's kind of crazy pants, but
yeah, we're in the minority of thinking that's not a great game, and I've never liked City.
There's a lot of weird decisions that game makes, but Asylum is just such a perfect nugget of a game, I guess.
Yeah,
and it doesn't feel overly long. I'm really cooking through it, and it feels like it's in that right time space of how long it takes to play, how long all the side things take to take care of. It just feels like a good balance.
I'm excited to go back through it because I haven't really gone into any of the Batman games since I've gotten back into reading Batman comics as much as I have now.
Yeah.
And when the games came out, like I hadn't really read them in years, and now every week I'm reading at least one, if not more. So it'd be kind of nice to go back in, like, oh, what references did I miss?
Yeah.
Back when I wasn't reading as much.
And it's nice to have a bat suit that's not all gizmos and gadgets and more Iron Man suit, which, I mean, it works. It works for the progression of the story in the games. Mm-hmm. But having just a basic suit with just basic gloves and belt and have it all kind of stripped down and back to the basics was a really strong move.
Oh, yeah.
Like, it's impressive going back through it again and just a delight.
Chewie?
Did we talk about it, the end?
No.
I like that name better.
So do I.
Is that the name of it?
It's just It Chapter 2.
It Chapter 2.
The tagline is It Ends.
Oh, It Ends.
We saw it.
We were so hyped for that movie.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yes.
Hyped. Because we loved the first one.
It's a great movie.
And my review of It, the End / Chapter 2, whatever, is how can you bully a person with their chosen identity?
Yeah, that was really weird.
Because the end of the movie,
spoiler alert, spoiler alert, spoiler alert.
It's a spoiler alert. Spoiler. Okay. They beat him by calling him a clown. You're
clown.
just a clown.
Yeah, I know. That's why I chose this one.
And it's like, oh, what? This is working? You're a bully. You're just a clown. You're just this. I'm like,
why is he ashamed of the form?
Yeah. What? Why is that making him small? And then you kill him as a baby.
I would much rather a big spider they have to chase down a tunnel and kick its ass.
Yeah, me too. That would have made more sense.
I kind of miss the kick its ass ending. Like, there's something just kind of triumphant about that ending. Both in the book and the 90s fucking TV special.
Yeah, and Mike's an ass.
Yeah, Mike sucks.
And he doesn't get terrorized. He just kind of watches everyone else get terrorized and tell them, come on, we still need to do this. And you're like...
The movie itself makes you realize that the filmmakers didn't understand the book.
I don't think so.
So you saw it too, John? I don't remember.
I didn't. I liked it when I saw it the first time, and then I got to see it again. And just the second time through, started all the threads started falling apart.
Yeah.
And there are just key things throughout that make you think, well, you had it right with the kids, but man, you must not have remembered that part of the adults to really make
I just don't think there's enough there as the adults.
It really annoyed me though, specifically with the yelling at him with his chosen identity. And I keep saying that specifically because he is an abstract concept of an being.
Yeah.
He can take whatever form he wants. And he chooses to be a clown. So, like, if you're going up to a transgendered person and you're going to be like, you're just a woman, and that person wants to be a woman, how are you insulting them?
Thanks.
Thank you for recognizing my chosen identity.
It's really that part of it that sours me a lot on the movie, because he could just take any other form, and he has to obey the laws of his form. Well, just be the spider. Like,
he can just be small.
it starts to, and the movie also has a weird thing with the suicide that I don't like. I don't like how they frame it as, spoiler, they frame it as like, I just knew I wouldn't be an asset to the team, so I took myself off the table. And it's like, and it's triumphant. And they're like, no, that's such a weird thing to do in the movie. And it's at the end of the movie when they're all happy. And I already have complicated feelings about that in general. So then for them to play on that is just like, what are you guys doing?
Yeah, there's a lot of problems with it, chapter 2.
Yeah, I was very disappointed.
I will say this. The filmmaking's still on point. And if they ever do release that version that he said that he's going to make it like the book, so both stories are told at the same time, I'm 100% there.
Yeah, give us the whole Bloody Affair version of this or whatever.
I'm totally in. Is it time to talk revenge?
Yes.
Revenge. So revenge. I'll let Chewie tell us really quickly what the movie's about, what happens and whatnot, so we can kind of move through it freely. And,
in the movie Revenge, we are presented with a woman and a man who are coming to a secret desert hideaway mansion home thing. It's not really a mansion.
Cabin.
It's not a hunting cabin. It's like this luxury. It looks like something that should be in Palm Springs, but it's in the middle of a desert somewhere in France.
And there for hunting for some reason.
Yeah. And they get there and they're having their fun sexual romp. And then his friends show up and they're super lechy. And then the dude that is super lechy rapes her. And it's not pleasant. And then they go out in the desert. They try to kill her. They fail. Then they try to hunt her down. And while they're trying to hunt her down, she kills them. So it's a nice little switcheroo.
Yeah.
And for a movie that is a rape genre, I liked it.
I would go so far as to say I loved it.
I love everything about it except for the rape, because I hate rape.
Now this is where it gets really tricky. I love the way they handled it. I don't want to watch that part ever again, but as far as like if you're going to have rape in a movie and you're going to insist on showing at least an aspect of it, they did it in such a good way of like... They
made it feel violent the whole time.
Violent and like you couldn't look at it. So they show you just enough to make you go, oh God, I can't look at that. And then they don't do anything more with it. And this movie's not afraid of showing anything.
What a difference having a different type of filmmaker, a female filmmaker, approach this topic than anyone else in the genre.
Yeah, and it is definitely felt, and it far more effective. Like, there's something about this particular scene that rocked me to my core far more than any of the ones that just try to show it or make it tantalizing or like that. Like, there was just... I mean, I guess that's the point.
It turns it around. It makes us...
It does some very specific things that other movies in this genre don't do. Like they show her getting nervous. They show the thought process of... I know I'm in danger. And it's not that he's being violent towards her immediately. It's
the way he looks at her.
He's being very oppressive, yeah. And then they show her crying. And just the moment when she doesn't say anything, but the guy looks at his other cohort and he's like, well, you either need to participate or leave. And they settle on that moment for a while. Where he takes a bite out of food. And there's
like a Baby Ruth or something, just something gross.
It's like I thought it was like a candy bear thing, baby. I don't know, but either way, they like focus on his mouth and like how disgusting, the act of eating can be, and how it's very primal and selfish in a way, and it mirrored a little bit what was happening. And then he left and he turned the radio on so he couldn't hear her screaming. And it's just like all of it. Like it was all shot and choreographed in a way where you feel awful. There was no fetishizing in the entire
that's the
sequence.
big thing, yeah.
And here's the other thing that I loved in that sequence. It's so weird to say that you love the sequence, but when the friend walks in and sees it all happening, he sees it, he eats something, he goes outside, he can still hear it. He doesn't like that. So he turns on the radio, and then he goes outside and goes for a swim. Just while she's getting destroyed.
Yeah.
And then later on, when she finally comes up on him and he has this very clever plan so that he can finally capture her of like, turn his back, leave his gun out. And he's like, I'm just going to capture her, which works like a charm. She goes for the gun. She pulls it on him. She pulls the trigger. He's like, nah, it was a trap. I'm going to drown you now. And while trying to drown him, he gets his eyes stabbed out and then he drowns in water. What happened to him? He watched the thing happen and then went for a swim. Yeah. Lost your eyes, died in water. Like, this movie's so fucking smart.
The symbolism in this, because her color is obviously pink. They put her in pink outfits. They give her pink earrings. And in this house, they have one wall that's all window, and you have a panel that's blue and a panel that's pink. And when she first sees the friends, specifically the dude who ends up raping her, Dimitri, he sees her through the pink lens, and she sees him through that. And then it's flipped where her boyfriend his color is blue. He's wearing a blue jacket. He's got this other blue stuff.
Polo. Yeah.
And then at the end of the movie, when he sees her, when he's about to get shot by her, she's being seen through the blue panel and she sees through. Like, it's really great with that. I don't know. Better way to say it, I guess.
It's very calculated, but not in a showy way.
Everything in this movie is a choice.
Yeah.
And I'd even go so far as, to say it's like, this is the decisions you would have to make this work, because it has to be intentional, and these symbolisms have to be, like, they're all important. There's not a frame in here that's not important.
Yeah.
That builds the foundation for this, because even every decision, just not seeing it, not like turning that around on you, you expect that you're going to have some sort of titillation in the beginning, because the filmmaker, she kind of lets you have a little bit of a male gaze in the beginning, and then subverts it and changes it
completely male gaze.
And then pulls the rug out under you very specifically during that scene. And all the, like, you watch these movies, and there's a sense with this genre why I don't watch it, that the rape is the more important part of this, not necessarily the revenge. Like, they want to say it is. She's empowered. But what's the camera doing? What's the set doing? Like you're saying, these decisions are all turning this around against us, even down to a scene that really flips it. His foot when he steps in the glass.
Oh yeah,
turning that into almost a visual that's almost like a vagina.
Well, kind of, yeah. I mean, he has to dig into it to get the thing out. And
oh god, that scene wrecked me. So the guy that we're talking about there is the guy who actually
Dimitri,
the guy who actually raped her.
Yeah.
And his death is just brutal.
He deserves it.
Oh, absolutely. That's all three of the dudes deserved exactly what they got. Like, that much is very apparent. But it was still just like, it wasn't that it was hard to watch. It's just like, God, this scene just keeps going.
Again, intentional. It feels intentional too, because it keeps going. Like the rape that happened, these guys get the justice meted out on them in the proper thematic way, and as you realize it's happening, you're like, oh God, like you're really in it.
But like, it's like just he was penetrated by something that he didn't want, and it caused him pain. Like, there's just like all of it. Like, everything is just so well calculated in a way that doesn't just like, it doesn't hang a neon sign going like, look how smart I am. It just is. Yeah. And like, that is just so impressive, especially for a movie like this. And like, if you look at the reviews are through the roof. It's like an 88 on Metacritic, I want to say. And a lot of them are like, well, if you thought the rape revenge genre had nothing left to say, and I don't think it ever did, here's this movie.
Right.
And just the shots of her hunting them.
Oh, it's so good.
When she gets the gun and she
goes full feral.
She goes full feral, like calculated, seasoned killer almost, like immediately. And because they call her stupid for a little while in the beginning, and then clearly, like, if she doesn't have a great education, she has amazing survival skills. And just the act of her getting off of... Well, her life is saved when she's kicked off the cliff by falling on a tree and getting impaled on it. Because then her head doesn't clunk the ground. You'd think she would break her back, but there's a lot of like physicality of like blood loss and stuff in here that is unrealistic.
Especially the end. The end is just a bloodbath.
Yeah, this is a very heightened reality when it comes to what your body can actually handle. But she's smart enough to burn the tree that she's attached to so that she can fall off of it because there's no way for her to get off otherwise.
Yeah.
And then there's the symbolism of her charring her skin with a beer can. And
that one of the dudes threw over the cliff at her.
Yeah. Well, no, that one was in his backpack.
Oh, that was in his backpack?
Yeah.
I thought it was one he chucked at her.
No. But...
Oh, that's right.
And she gave herself like a tattoo of a bird. So she's like a phoenix rising from the ashes. So she burned. Yeah. She lit herself on fire. And now she is reborn. Not as this sexy man candy thing, but as this man killer. And it is, I love it. I love that.
And it's also like it's down to like the design. The only thing that she keeps from her earlier persona of this kind of ditzy blonde who's just super hot. She doesn't mind like being a little showy. The only thing that she keeps is her earrings.
Her earring. Yeah.
Everything, she's down to her underwear otherwise. And it's not sexy underwear by any stretch of the imagination. She just looks like a feral badass who is absolutely coming to kill you.
Yes.
And it's interesting, the turn when she turns into the feral killer, the badass rising from the ashes. I was surprised but pleased that like I was cheering at that moment. I was like, she's gonna put the beer can on her and she's gonna have that bird symbol on her. It was like that's cool.
I didn't even think that she was going to burn the symbol onto her.
When she was peeling off, I was like, wait, there's a bird design on that. Wouldn't it be cool if she did this? And they didn't. And it was an unexpected thing to feel in that moment where I don't know if you would feel that in other movies of the genre where it's like that turn felt real and felt powerful in a way that these movies don't provide that. No. And I think the symbolism, all of it worked really well in that. That's my favorite moment of the thing where she transforms, I guess.
She takes a shitload of peyote and does her own... Oh, God, her own first aid. Which is
still strange to me, because peyote I associate so much with Native Americans. I don't know if that's just something that we lied about, or just... I don't know. Because he said it was a local thing, and as far as I knew, they were in France, but...
I have no idea if they're supposed to be in France or not. Like, I honestly don't know where this thing took place.
Huh.
But either way, like, the whole peyote sequence I thought was fantastic. And I liked it because the framing of it, of when he gets dropped off, the helicopter pilot, right, is the one who tosses him some peyote.
Yeah, he gives it as like a homecoming gift or something.
Like, have some fun. And he's like, I'm not touching this shit. It makes you go crazy. And he tells this whole story about how he had a friend who took too much peyote and sawed off his own leg and died with no blood in his body because he couldn't feel any pain. So as soon as she takes that peyote and hides it in her necklace, it's like, well, that's going to come back. I bet she's going to drug the guys or something and just like peel their skin while they don't know what's going on. Like, what's happening to me? And it's like, oh no, she's going to use it to first aid on herself.
Yeah.
And it is so brutal.
Yeah. Just watching her carve into her own skin.
God.
Like, this movie does not shy away from the...
But I mean, there was a period of time where I got really into French horror, and I mean, people will probably yell at me for this one, but as far as I know, French horror movies are not, like, they're not rare, but they're not super common. Like, they're not as in love with the genre as, say, Americans or, like, Germans or Koreans.
Or have the notoriety of Italian.
Yeah, or, like, the Italian horror. Like, the French horror film is kind of it's not a rarity, but it's also not as popular as other ones. And the common ending, at least for a while, especially in the early 2000s, of a French horror film is it's going to end with a girl basically maybe in her underwear, maybe not, but basically dead, covered head to toe in blood, and just the lone survivor. And as we're watching this and it starts going that way, I'm like, oh, this is a French horror movie. Super fucking violent. She's basically naked, and she's going to be covered head to toe in blood as the lone survivor at the end.
Yeah.
Oh, we are watching a French horror film. How do you like it?
I liked it a lot. And I want to be able to say I loved it, but I still have a hard time saying that about a rape movie.
That's what I mean. Like, I'm as close to loving as possible, but I don't think I'd ever want to watch it again because it is just so brutal.
I could just skip over the... It's just... I hate watching it.
Oh, yeah. Especially because like they do it so well of like it's from the moment... We're jumping all over this movie. I apologize. The moment she wakes up that morning and she had just been dancing with the night before, and she was dancing in a really provocative way to try to get her boyfriend jealous so he'd go bang her. It worked. And even at that point, I remember asking you, like, what is this person? Like, I've never been around a woman like that ever in my life. And you're like, well, she's a woman who will act ditzy and whatever to get whatever she wants. I'm like, oh, well, that makes sense because she got exactly what she wanted.
Yeah, she lived in a world at that moment where if you act this way, you get whatever you want from a man. And it's the same sort of thing at the beginning when they first get there and she gives him a blowjob.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's serving to him and it's self-serving to her, because then she has, in that type of woman's mindset, she has full control over the situation, because whatever she wants, she'll get by seduction.
Yeah, and then, well, that didn't work out.
No.
But either way, the moment she wakes up the morning after that whole dance sequence, and the guy is so excited to see her and just gets excited, jumps up, there she is, pulls out a chair for her, and the moment she sits down, he just has that look on his face, and it's like, well, here we go.
There's even a moment right before that where it's either sunscreen or something that he gets on her lower back as he guides her to the chair.
Oh, yeah, the moment she wakes up and sees him, from their moment on, it's like, fuck.
That moment, I was just like, oh my God, get out of there.
Yeah.
Like,
and that's the problem, is you know what you're sitting down for, you know what you're watching, you know where it's going, and it's just like, damn it, I don't want to watch this.
Not like my anxiety in the movie was starting to ramp up right then, and it's interesting. It's interesting to explore your feelings as you're watching this, and this movie makes you explore the feelings.
Yeah.
Which I think is such a testament to it.
Now, how did you guys feel about the boyfriend? Because that's the only guy we really haven't talked about at all.
He's a sociopath.
Well, clearly a sociopath who just kept trying to. Anyone who thinks they're going to solve problems with murder, they're not exactly on the same thinking level as the rest of society. But I do like that was his thought process for everything. Well, she's going to be a problem. Well, he tried to bribe her first.
Yeah.
She didn't want to be bribed. Good for her. So he decides to kill her. Bad for her.
Well, it's near the end of the movie, he screams at her, "Women always have to fight."
Yeah.
And it's just like, well, yeah.
They're people.
Because we don't want to be controlled by you.
Yeah. Because you suck.
But so that's how he lives his life. I'm sure his wife fights with him all the time, and that's why he's cheating on her.
Yeah.
It was very interesting having him turn really suddenly. And like you know that they're all going to be bad, but
I didn't. I honestly didn't. For a moment, I thought.
But I think the movie was, and maybe this is just because of the era we're living in and just the Me Too movement, everything that's been going on. I was expecting, like, he's seemingly the most nice guy, the most honorable guy. He seems nice. That's not gonna. I don't believe him. Like there was a sense of distrust with him because he seemed too, like, blue. He wore blue. He seemed good and right. And there was an expectation I had where I was like, he's gonna turn. And when he pushed her off, I was like, there it is. There's a reason why.
Oh, it was way before that.
Yeah.
It was the moment he came back and he didn't do anything.
Right.
Because I remember having that moment. Like, I was so gullible. I actually thought he was on their side. I thought he was going to be a problem for the other two dudes to take care of. I didn't realize he was going to be the fucking ringleader of, like, let's just kill everyone and go home to our families. But that moment when he comes home and he's so mad and he's like, what are you doing? You fucking nuts. Rah, 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 rah. She's like, get the helicopter. I need to get out of here. He's like, I will take care of it. And as soon as he said, I will take care of it, I just went, him too? Fuck.
Yeah, he's not consoling her or anything. Now she's just a problem.
And I thought for a moment there, I'm like, okay, well, maybe he's going to try to reconcile. And then it just, like, by the end of the scene of, like, well, no, why don't you just stay here? They'll come in and apologize. We'll be fine. I'm like, oh, he's the problem. He is 100% the problem. And
I certainly wanted to believe that he was going to take care of it. Like,
yeah,
he was that actor deserves some props for pulling that off. Like, he was like, okay, he'll take care of it. No, like, this should have been, like, things aren't like, what's going on? This isn't right. This doesn't feel right.
He really pulled off the fake phone call to the helicopter. When she's standing at the edge of the cliff, he's like, all right, you know what? This is getting too far. I'll call the helicopter. We'll just deal with it. Just give me the phone. Especially because the friend thought he was doing it. The friend looks annoyed. Yeah. He's like, no, we can't, like, shit. Okay, fine. I guess we'll just have to deal with this then.
I got the feeling that he was lying right away just because of how, like, they showcased how easily he can flip himself to be a liar. Like, after he has sex with her and then he has to call his wife called him.
Yeah.
And he has to talk to her about food for some event they're doing. And then he ends that call and goes right back to the girlfriend, Jen.
But there's a difference between a scumbag and a murderer. I took him as a scumbag. I didn't think that he was going to be the murderer.
But I mean, it is signs of a sociopath.
That's true.
Where your emotions are so acted that you can fake them whenever you want to.
And I think there's just something to be said about your perspective versus my perspective of a woman's just versus man's, where I could go, he's probably just a scumbag. That doesn't mean he's a dangerous person. And that's just conditioning of years of, I don't have to be afraid of those people.
And I think the movie was very interested in bringing that out.
Yeah.
I think And with all the intentionality of this movie, I think that's an interesting question of like, where did you think him evil?
Yeah.
And the fact that we thought it later is like, I feel indicted a bit.
Yeah,
and I'm like,
absolutely.
that's a good thing that this movie was doing.
Yeah.
And like, wow.
This movie is a great movie for somebody who's not afraid to question themselves, at least a little bit of like, well, where did you find the problems? Because
Right.
I have a lot of like good friends who will watch this movie and just go like, yeah, it's a good movie. They wouldn't try to look in the mirror. They wouldn't try to go like, well, what did this make you think, or what did this make you feel?
Right.
And it's like this. That's all this thing was trying to do. Like, I mean, it was trying to be a movie, obviously, but there was so much of a discussion that can be had afterwards, and I think an important one, especially for a lot of guys today. And that's why, like, when we get to the very last segment of this thing of would you recommend it, you can guess where I'm going to end up with it. Especially if you listen to last week when I told you to watch it, because I recommend it.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert.
But what have we missed? What haven't we talked about in this that we really wanted to make sure we got? I know I have one thing, but was there anything that you guys did not hit on?
I don't know, I talked about the production design.
Okay.
But I really
John, was there any one thing that we really missed on your end? Because I have one that I think is very, very fascinating. I'm excited to talk about.
I think we covered it. The big one that was really an interesting point for me was, the long drawn out death of the rapist.
Yeah.
Especially the imagery there was it was playing in very interesting imagery. And that was the big thing that was caught on.
So where I'm coming from, the thing that I thought the most interesting, especially when it comes to like a lot of rape revenge movies, there is this kind of gross subsect of not subsect, but this is a gross idea that you have to make the rape sexy, and if you're not gonna make the rape sexy, at least in some way, you got to make the girl sexy at a different time. Of like, okay, so maybe we won't show her body during the rape, but we're gonna show it really well earlier, so at least you still get some entertainment out of seeing this woman naked. And this one wholeheartedly avoided that. The only time you actually see her legitimately just like naked is when another guy is peeping on her in a predatory, awful way.
Yeah.
It is not a glamorizing shot. It is not sexy.
No.
It is. There's nothing.
You actually see her boyfriend naked more than you see her naked.
And that's where I was going with it. The only person who gets gratuitous, showy nudity is the man.
Yeah.
The dude is the one who is just objectified. Like right out of the beginning, he's the one who walks around naked. We see his butt more times than I can count. You see
his wiener.
You see
his
wiener,
floppy wiener.
his floppy wiener. You see how desperate the actor was to not show his anus, because every time he's walking, he is just clenching so hard. And I thought that was just a fascinating thing to throw on top of a movie that's already doing so much work of just having so many things to say and do it all so well. On top of that, just the gratuitous nudity, going for the man over the woman, I think is just it's kind of a refreshing change of pace. Like
It is. And it makes you approach it. It makes you think about it. And I think in this genre of the movie, you need to be forced to think of things. You need to be forced to think about it and talk about it. And just another decision where it's like, well, obviously she's doing something different with this, turning it around, flipping it around. Like every aspect of this is turning this around on the genre itself, on the male viewers and the expectations going into it. And just, I thought it was a very interesting choice. And how it just plays in that last scene. And they're running around in circles in the room. And it
doesn't even feel like cat and mouse.
It doesn't.
It just feels
it gets to a point where you don't know who's chasing who. And I love it.
And it feels almost, and this is the only time I've ever encountered it feels almost Kubrickian.
Yeah, a little bit.
And that's like, I don't want to be film school hoity-toity saying that, but that's the first time where it's like, I'm seeing, Jack going after Shelley Duvall. I'm seeing all those scenes, like he's chasing with the axe. I'm like, I'm seeing that. They're chasing each other with these implements, but they're given this equal space. It's a very interesting construction.
It was so well done, because like when you cut to either one of them, they're not running away. Neither one of them are ever running away.
No.
They're always trying to kill the other.
And just her survival instincts are showcased during that sequence so well.
Oh, and she almost gets shot around the corner.
Yeah, because she's following the blood, and she looks at it. She's about to turn a corner, and you can see it on her face, like
He wouldn't run
you
away.
feel it. Not that. It's just like whether or not she's thinking he wouldn't run away. It's that she feels like I shouldn't go yet. And then she kind of fights that for a moment, and she's about to take a step, and she sees his blood pooling on the floor.
Oh, yeah.
And then she's like, oh, nope, there he is.
God, his wound was gross. Like in the best way possible. It was just like a pile of hamburger just on his face.
Yeah, people don't really showcase what a rifle or shotgun will do to you in that fashion very often.
Yeah, it's not going to punch a
Especially
clean
one
hole.
as like high powered as the one she's
Yeah.
got.
Which is a terrible thing to use for hunting, by the way.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Like, what do you, like, you're not getting much of a
You're
trophy.
ruining your meat and your trophy.
Yeah. But I mean, I guess if all you want to do is kill.
But again, like think of that. Like think of even that minute of a decision in
Yeah.
the whole set design and props design. That's who they are. That's who these guys are.
Yeah.
They're not hunting for efficiency. They're hunting for control and subjugation and like destruction.
Yeah.
And it's such a very interesting choice.
The last thing that I wanted to mention this beyond just we kind of talked about the last action sequence enough, but I think that is just the most brilliant sequence in the movie of just them both in full predator mode.
Can I just add before you jump on?
Yeah.
When he came back and I saw how pristine that place was, my first thought was like, you know what'd be really cool is if that whole pristine place got really bloody. And then the rest of the movie was just like, you're gonna get your wish.
I'd only seen the trailer once, and then I saw a still, and the still was her in her underwear with the scar and everything in the house with the gun. So as soon as he went back, I'm like, that place is gonna get fucked up.
And it makes me wonder, like when that helicopter finally comes down at the end of the movie, does she just pass out from loss of blood finally? Or like what is the thought process going to be of that helicopter pilot?
Really hope he wasn't good friends with the main guy.
Yeah, and will he just leave? I mean, would it be like I am not going to be part of whatever just happened here?
Really hope he takes her with.
Yeah.
Now I'm forgetting what my last thing was. I had
I'm
one
sorry.
last thing. No, it's fine. It must not have been that important. Yeah, let's just move into quotes then. I didn't really have a quote on this one because it's not exactly the most quotable movie.
There's actually very little dialogue when you think about it.
Yeah.
Specifically from her. Once she gets into primal mode, she doesn't really talk at all.
So my quote will come far more from the line that made my skin crawl the most.
Okay.
It's a line that as soon as it said, I went, oh. And it's from the rapist, and he's talking to the main girl, and she keeps trying to be polite. And you can just see that I've been the guy on the other end of these conversations, not obviously this bad of one, but of, hey, I'm trying to talk to this girl, and she says something, and basically what she's trying to say is, I'm not interested, go away. Me as not a horrible human being, I got the hint, and I went away. This guy decided to up the ante and went, why don't you like me? As soon as he said it, I'm just like, oh, fuck. Oh, I hated it. I hated it so much. And she tried so hard. It's just so heartbreaking. You're just too short. Or too little is what I think she says. But
Yeah.
that's a language barrier.
Oh, that could have also been a choice because you're talking about his height and possibly his penis.
That very well could be.
But like even in that whole concept of like, what did I do wrong? That a lot of guys seem to be entitled to know. Like, what did I do wrong? It's not to make themselves better. It's like they need something to get angry about.
Yeah.
And there's nothing she could say to win. So it's like
as soon as that question's out there, she's in trouble.
yeah. And for me, around that time, but before is, and I referenced it before, just that hand on the lower back thing that made my skin crawl almost absolutely apart. I was just sick to my stomach. And that, I think that, well, not my favorite. It's like the biggest moment for me, like of just changing how I'm going to see this movie.
Last but not least.
It was like it's not really the dialogue that pulls me into this movie. It's everything else.
So what would your favorite moment be then? Or the most effective? Saying a favorite in a movie like this is tough.
Yeah, we both. I definitely went effective.
Yeah, I did. I don't like the line. It
Yeah.
made me extremely uncomfortable.
I love the shots on her eyes, essentially.
Ooh.
If I had to choose that, the shots on her eyes when she's hanging upside down, and she's trying to figure out how to set the tree on fire, and then the shots of her eyes when she's starting to trip out on peyote and cut into herself. Like, they're both, like, you're seeing her thought process and you're seeing how she's changing in a way. like, and especially like it's just very survival and primal. Like I feel like you're saying a lot without having to say anything in both those shots.
There's something. I mean, we didn't really talk about it, but none of us are cinematographers. This movie's impeccably well shot.
Oh, so everything. Like I said, everything in this movie is a choice, and it's well choreographed.
The shot of her on the ATV just riding through the desert with her pink star earrings, like this looks straight out of a comic book. Like it's just beautiful to look at. So well
and
done.
The music,
So
like
good.
it's the electronic nature of it, and almost feeling barbaric again at times.
Yeah.
Thumping.
Man, this is a tough one for a review system because
It's not something you can go goofy with.
yeah. So I'm just gonna forego the review system for this one. We're gonna jump right to do you recommend, because the review would be just a little bit too tough, and I think whether or not you recommend it will say what you thought of it. And as we were kind of saying earlier through the conversation, I think this is an incredibly important movie for men specifically to see. I think it's great for women, obviously, as well. I mean, great is a strong word. But I will use the word important for men to see. And it's important to think about, like, how did this make you feel? How did the guys make you feel? Do you find yourself relating to the guys in any way, shape, or form? And why is that? Like, there's just so many things for you to reflect on with yourself, especially in today's climate, that will come up, hopefully, in your head while you're watching a movie like this that is just so visceral and violent and just shocking and just hard to watch, but coming from a very different place than any other movie in the genre. So yeah, I would highly recommend, but you know, good luck.
Yeah.
I definitely recommend it as a movie to be like seeing a woman come into her own under dire experiences, but definitely lots of trigger warnings.
Oh yeah.
If you have sensitivities, maybe just fast forward.
I wouldn't
try
say
to get-
fast forward. I would just,
Just-
if you honestly think you can't take those trigger warnings, don't watch it.
Yeah,
Because
not.
it's never going to get easier. The subject matter never gets easier. If you don't watch the
Yeah.
scene, it never gets easier. That's my opinion. But I mean, if you think people could fast forward through it, then
If you just need the knowledge of this woman was brutalized, and then get the rest of the story after that, I think you can still really enjoy it.
yeah, you'll know when to move.
Yeah.
The movie really ramps up to it. You'll know when it's coming. John, what about you?
I think I would recommend it to the people who profess themselves to be nice guys. And I
A
don't.
lot of those guys will just complain and be like, "It wasn't fun." Well, it's not supposed to be fun
But that's the thing.
That's
it kind of is, though.
for her, not for them.
No, but I mean, to watch, like, the revenge is actually kind of therapeutic. Like, she
Yeah.
really gets revenge. And it kind of feels like she takes on, like, 3 video game bosses. Like, they all kind of
Yeah.
have their different places, like,
Because
structures.
But the
As far as a
rape,
revenge film-
wasn't fun.
No,
No,
God, no.
but like there's the trapping. It's like it's a revenge film, so revenge films are fun. We like a lot of them, but just those people who don't reflect on themselves and think of themselves as nice, like even if you aren't those guys, there is some aspect, whether through passivity, through ignoring when a friend has tried to express how they like.
I got it. If you've ever listened to Green Day's Nice Guys Finish Last and thought, that song's about me, you should watch this movie.
Yeah, but as a piece of self-reflection, I think this movie need to be pushed in that direction.
Yeah.
People who have dealt with issues like that, or who would maybe even be triggered by this, maybe don't need to see this. I wouldn't even recommend it in that regard, because this is more of an indictment.
Yeah.
And I think the people who need it more are going to be the ones like those types of guys. I think guys would need to see this.
Yeah, I'd say it's a very, very...
I mean, and I would just say guys need to see more movies written and directed by women, but there's that.
You should check out Emily's articles.
Yeah, you should.
Yeah.
Oh, boy. So that's week 2 for Halloween month. We went for horrible to heavy.
Yeah.
Or nothing if not a roller coaster.
Yeah.
Up and down.
Woo. So next week, we get my movie, which is also very heavy. Nowhere near as heavy. It's a delightful romp by comparison. It is Let the Right One In, the Swedish vampire movie. One of my favorite movies of all time, easily my favorite vampire movie of all time. Was remade by Matt Reeves, called Let Me In, which is actually a very decent remake. If you've ever had the inkling to be like, all remakes are terrible. Not true. Some of them actually can be pretty decent. And Matt Reeves did a really good job. I still think the original is better, but he still did a great job. I mean, great cast, great everything. But we'll talk about the original because
if you think remakes are terrible, you're gonna hate The Thing. Glasses up.
Or you're gonna hate Force Awakens.
Who else can we piss off?
Mary Poppins Returns. Fuck Disney. Sorry, Craig. No, I'm not. I hate Disney. He knows it by now.
I had another guy tell me recently how wonderful he thought that sequence in Endgame was with the women. And I'm like, all right, it was made for you more than it was for me.
So let's do a quick round of plugs and then we can get out of this thing. So, ATH Network. Every Monday, be sure to check out Venture Bros. Tuesday, Samwise. Wednesday, Damage Boost. Thursday, us. Friday.
Wednesday.
Did I say Damage Boost? I meant Demon Days.
Yes.
Damage Boost is on Fridays. Also on Fridays, you have the wonderful Stargate issues that we're now in. Tomorrow will be week 2 of. You should definitely check out last week's Stargate one, and then obviously tomorrow's, and then so on and so forth throughout the month. It's a 4-part article. It's incredibly interesting if you've never even been interested in Stargate. And then also be sure on Mondays to check out
The Other Voices.
Other Voices. Oh, I don't want to say color. Motherfucker, I'm just dying today. But yes, be sure to check out Other Voices on Mondays and Stargates on Fridays and just everything on the HTH Network. We do a lot.
We got something for you every day, and sometimes more than one thing.
Yeah,
so.
we're doing a lot. And it's time consuming, so enjoy it.
Yes.
And then I will mention here, and I'm going to start mentioning pretty much everywhere, we are coming close to the end of Venture Brothers. So if you have a show you would like the Venture Bros crew to cover, reach out to us. So far, we have one
Mork
vote
and Mindy.
If that's what people want, I'll do it. I would have no problem watching
I don't
Mork
know
and
where
Mindy.
we find Mork and Mindy.
I don't know either, but I love that show. So reach out to us on Facebook or any other social media feed and let me know. So far, we have one vote for Frisky Dingo, which I would have absolutely no problem doing. That's everything.
All right.
We've done it all.
Have a
Tune
good
in next week. Let the right one in. Go out and rent it if you haven't seen it before. Bye.
one. Bye.
Bye.
See you later, bozos.